Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
CI/CD is a continuous implementation and continuous deployment process. So to understand this entire CI/CD process, there are some subcomponents you need to understand in CI/CD. First is about you need to understand about Mule Maven plugin. What is Mule Maven plugin and what it will do? How can we deploy application using Mule Maven plugin? Is it plugin inside the Mule Maven? Okay. First component. And second component, you need to have idea about the source code repositories. You have idea about Git or Bitbucket? Say that one more time. Git or Bitbucket? I heard Git. Anytime you have worked, you have idea of Git, right? Yeah, a little bit. I have a theory. You know, like I understand the concept, right? It's a repository, right? Yes, repository. Where we push our code. Where we store different versions of our application and we can commit our code to these repositories, distributed repositories. Okay. So meanwhile, try to learn about Git from YouTube or some other resources. There are numerous resources available in the internet. So it's not a mule concept, it's a generic concept, right? Yeah. Do you know? And allow me to interrupt you. No problem. I've been reading a little bit about the DevOps and cloud stuff and AWS stuff. Yeah. So all this technology you're talking about, like CI/CD, Git, Maven, And what's the other one you're saying? Jenkins, Kubernetes, Docker. All those stuff is being used so many other ways, right? Everybody's using now this technology. Correct. Excellent. And if you know how to use one, you can apply that right to any other systems. Which one? Like for example, if I learn how to use a Jenkins, write Jenkins. Yeah. And you know there's a Jenkins way to use it in AWS stuff for automating stuff. Jenkins or AWS, sorry, not ALS. This is Microsoft Azure. This is also CI/CD. There's also AWS, right? Like Amazon. Yeah. And Azure uses, AWS uses it. So if you know how to use one of them, like if you know how to use Jenkins in AWS, then it's easy to learn that in MuleSoft, isn't it? Correct. So if you know one tool, there is only difference in the implementation, but concept-wise it is same. Concept, same, yeah. You need to understand it. Just you need to focus on the implementation, wise, how the process is implemented in Jenkins and the process implemented in Azure DevOps. So you call it implementation process. Implementation process may be different in Jenkins and different in DevOps. Means the build process of the pipeline. You have a pipeline, you need to build a pipeline. That is the process is different in Jenkins. but the concept is same. The pipeline, building a pipeline, executing a pipeline, and the concept is same, but the way the implementation is a little different. You can be able to understand. If you understand one tool, you can easily understand the other tools. Excellent. I think that's what I was thinking. That's good. But before understanding this process, you need to have an idea about each and every of these concepts. What is a plugin? What is a repository? How to commit a code? How to merge a code? How to push a code, pull a code? So how to clone? These concepts, you need to have an idea about the repositories, right? So that you can have an all-round idea about the CSGD process. Today we discussed about Mule Maven plugin. How we can use, what is the importance of Mule Maven plugin, and how we prepare an application using Mule Maven plugin. How it automates the deployment process. First thing and second thing is we touch about API manager. API manager. What is API manager? What will do in API manager? And how we apply a policy. So, due to time constraint, we will apply a simple policy on the API, and I will show you what is the policy and what is the importance of policy, how we apply a policy. We'll finish these three things today. Okay, Adam, it's good? Sounds good to us. Okay, so let's jump into the Mule Maven plugin. So I recommend you go through this page. How to open it? Let me open it. Go to Google. It's not opening. It closes. It's in the close of page. Yep. Type Mule Maven plugin. Go to this Mule Maven plugin link. Documentation. See, the Mule Maven plugin enables you to integrate the packaging and deployment of your Mule application in your Maven lifecycle. So there is a lifecycle defining the Maven. Right. So what is the lifecycle? Lifecycle means how you packaging your. There are some places while packaging your applications. What it will do is first, it will compile your sources. You know about compile, Adam. What compile means? And it's like running the code, right? Yeah, it will convert this, whatever we Java code or Mule code, to the executable code. Something bytecode. That one. The compile. It will check the syntax. Is your syntax is correct as per the language specifications? Right? If the syntax is not good, it will raise a compilation error. We will get compile errors, right? So at compile phase, it will check your language. What your code you written is as per syntax or not. So that is compile phase. Once compile is done, it will test. And install. Sorry, compile build. This is build. I want to build compile build. install package, and then deploy. So these are the phases inside the Maverick. It will compile the code in compilation process. It will check if the code is written as per the language specification or not. If you forget any, if your code is not aligned with your language, it will raise a compilation error. And test phase. It will execute the test cases that are written inside your application. Right. If your test case fails, it will close the report and it will break any test case. And install. In install phases, what it will do is it will install a jar file in your local repository. The other day I shown you the local repository. Yeah, so in your users directory, there is a repository into local repository. It will put the jar file, whatever the jar file is generated in local repository. And it will gather all the other jar files and make a package so that you can deploy it with the local repository and it will deploy to your server. So it will create a package of all your application so that you can able to deploy server. Finally, it deploys the application to a target server in the deploy phase. So these are the phases in life cycle. Even in one life cycle, it will do that. New VMPEG is compatible with new runtime engine, Enterprise Edition, Community Edition. Okay, now here different sections are given. How you can deploy application to the Cloud Hub. Here it deploys your new application to the Cloud Hub. See, there are steps given over. Here you can go and you can see the steps and you can implement those steps so that you can able to deploy your application to the Cloud Hub. Okay, first let's focus on the Cloud Hub deployment first. Okay. So I'm going to this step. So you need to replicate the same operation Adam. You need to deploy on your own using these steps. Okay. In addition to using Anypoint Studio, Anypoint Runtime Manager, Anypoint Platform CLI, there is maybe some command level interfaces CLI. Using command also you can do. But don't worry, we use this very rarely, so that don't worry about CLI. This is command aligning interface. To deploy applications, we can use this. We can directly deploy from Anypoint Studio. If you go to Anypoint Studio, and I think I've shown you the option, but anyway, I'm showing again. You can deploy any application, right? I can directly click this one and go to Anypoint platform. That's it. So you can deploy to Cloud Hub. So from here, directly from Anypoint Studio to Cloud Hub, I can deploy. The first option. And second option is mentioned is Runtime Manager. This one we saw in the last session, right, to go to Runtime Manager. Yeah, from the online. What is that called? A Cloud Hub. Yeah. So from Cloud Hub also you can do the jar file. Yeah, you can import the jar file, you can deploy. CLI interface is a command interface. From that I will deploy. So you can also deploy, redeploy and the application using the new level plugin. Using this plugin also, we can do all these activities. You can deploy and deploy, redeploy all those stuff, okay? And go over here. What is a prerequisite? you need to mention host as your point do. And port as you need to mention like this. The other day we given 8081. It doesn't depend. That is the reason. We need to give port like this. So then that means you have to have a YAML file. YAML file. So every project, if you are using this, you have to create a YAML file. Correct? And this is the plugin. Given this code, we need to put in our formatted XML file. Copy this code and we need to paste inside our formatted XML file. So let me quickly create one simple project and I will deploy using the main unit plugin. Oh, so I'm going over here. My focus is now using the main unit plugin. So I'm creating a very simple project. Oh, I'm creating a simple project. I will do one thing. I create one simple API because I thought it will go to API. How did you make it to remember you? Every time I have to enter my user ID and password. Like in your case when you log into this website. The user ID and password is already there for you. Yeah, there is some. We get a pop up right. Save the username and password. I saved it in the browser cache. So I'm going to design a center. I'm designing a very simple API. Okay. My focus is customers. I have to get a very simple get method. As response. Getting such as response. That's very simple. Only get method. Right? Alright. Now let me go to the endpoint studio. And let me prevent the project. Cus. Cus. Something. Importing. Let's find that. Let's go. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. This one. Finish. What I'm doing is, it's the API, right? So I'm implementing it. It is simple. It's a good customer. Who is here? I'm putting some. My implementation is simply putting some simple JSON. So, object, yeah, I'm sorry. You create an object, clean object. So this thing, this set, it's not an array, right? This is object. What do you call that? I'm simply creating some JSON array. Okay, alright? Okay, because you know it's square bracket. I got right. I got to deploy this application to the cloud. Right. So for that I need to go to my phone. Right? So I'm 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 replacing here. I am replacing here. What is the runtime version? I want to go for this one, right? Pop. And username and password. My AnyPoint username is there, right? My date entity. This is my AnyPoint username and password. And cloud of application name. I can use cloud of application name. With what application name you want to deploy to cloud of. So I want to give my cloud of application name. Like my company name. My company name is like this, like you can give any name. I'm giving some name. I want to give this number, but you can give any name. Okay. And environment. Which environment you want to deploy? I want to deploy to this sandbox. Region workers type. I don't have this information right. For that I need to go here and see. What are different regions are available in the cloud of. In the region information. I can use this one. I need to do this one. Okay, I'm giving the default one. US user. There is. You have to provide all of that. There is no default. No default. That's a default. Default US used. Virginia default, so you have to configure it or the system will do it by default. If you don't configure the system, it will do it by default. And workers. So how many workers you want to deploy? Usually worker is one. Otherwise you have to buy. Yeah, if you buy, you can do multiple workers. By default, it's one. You want your application to be more robust. And when millions of customers are using your application, you want to support all this stuff. You can deploy multiple workers. That is on the paid one, not on the free. And worker type. I'm using this one. Default is macro. HTTP. I'm using as this one HTTP code properties is the code type. What do you see there? Property. Yes, see. You need to set the properties for your application. You are deploying. You can use properties. It will pick up the code from your manual file. If you put like this, now you are given this information according to URL code. This is called a Maven file. Yeah, this is called Maven plugin. Okay, the plugin. I see. Now I want to configure this, my port, because I'm running the port and 881, right? So, you have too much. Yeah, one moment. This one I need to do. Right, and this one is 0.0. Now to deploy this application here, the command is given. Using some command, you've been able to deploy this application to the cloud. So let me see the command here once. So, Ganesh, you are deploying the application. So remember the CI/CD steps. What step are we in now? We are only having to understand the Mule plugin. So before full-fledged understanding CI/CD, you need to have an idea about the source code repository. Got it? Got? Maybe I'm blocking you. You're only in the first phase of understanding how we can automate deployment in your Mule application. In CI/CD, there is a parent process where you can download the resources from a source code repository and you can build this file and deploy all the stuff. So now there is a command using to deploy your application. What I am doing is here. I am going to this spot. And opening my command prompt. And I'm giving this command over here mvn clean package deploy minus the mule deploy. Okay, that is a command going over here. Mvn deploy to the Cloud Hub. And from the command line in your project folder, execute the deploy code. This is a command I need to execute, right? So I'm executing this command. Wait for a few moments. So you didn't provide the application name or whatever project name. Does that mean that now that you are on the path, it knows that? Yeah. I'm sorry. Your voice is going to make me increase my volume. I think I decreased my volume. Oh, sorry, I think it's from my side. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Pardon me. For the command you run, you didn't provide the project name or application name that you want to deploy. Yes. And does that mean that because you are the home, it knows what project you're talking about, right? You have to be the right path. Exactly. I think this is capital. I put smalls maybe reason. We can put this as capitals. Adam, you need to go to the right path. Where your product is, you know there in your file. So I'm going to my project path in my file system. And there I need to execute this command. So when you're executing the command, make sure your functional exists on that path. Then only this command will work. Let me see, it is trying to deploy the application to the cloud. Let me go to my Cloud Runtime Manager. It is not coming. Customers. Creating application with this name. Cloud means it is a public infrastructure, right? So many people across the world are using this infrastructure. This is a free account, right? So it takes time for us actually for cloud requirements. Meanwhile, I want to while it's deploying. I want to give you one concept that is called API management. So, like I said in the demo, using any point platform, you can design API. But what things we can do? We can design APIs using the design center, right? We see this is a RAM and is part of design APIs. So using any point platform, we can design APIs and we can deploy APIs. That's what you are doing, right? You deploy APIs to cloud and on-prem on the runtime. Private, all those stuff, you design APIs. You can deploy APIs and we can manage APIs. You can manage APIs. What is management? What is API management in a sense? You can apply some sort of policies on your APIs on top of your APIs. When we say policy, are we talking about security policies? Or what kind of policy are we talking about? It's like example, some security policies. Yeah. Are there other policies involved here? Oh, are there other policies other than security? Other than security, there are some policies like rate limiting. Rate limit and logging policies. Let me show you the bunch of policies available in any point. Platform. Let me go to my key point manager. Any point manager. And for example, I want to apply a policy on top of my application. What does basically policy do is see. You want to provide security to your application. You are building an application. This is application built by you. Adam built an API and application. So whose responsibility to provide security to this application? Adam only, right? You need to write a piece of code that will take care of your application's security code. And if you develop 10 applications in each application, you need to write this code right, the security code to secure that application. One is redundant. And tomorrow you want to change your security strategy. Then what you do is you remove this and you write a new security strategy code. Right. So this kind of management is inline management is, always you need to change your application, change your files, change your source code. You deploy all the stuff, right? So what happens if I, do a kind of begin play? If I want my security, I would attach my security policy. If I don't want to remove the policy, if you want to change, I apply a new policy. So I want to externalize the logic, execute logic from inside application to outside application. Right? So that kind of external component we can add, attach and detach. So that is called policy. Not only security policy, I can show you different kinds of other policies. Yeah, so any configurations or template that you want to apply to your application, whether it's security or other different configurations. Excellent. What do you use it? A template kind of stuff. So there is a ready-made component that on your custom, on your demand, you can apply, you can detach it, you can change it, whatever you want. That doesn't impact your application code or any stuff, right? This is not impacted, right? So that is called policy. Let me show you the policies available in the Anypoint platform. To see that I need to first configure, I need to register an API. Okay, so I already designed an API in Anypoint. Anypoint Design Center. I want to apply policy to this API. API I designed right, customer API design right. So I want to apply policy to the customer API. For that I need to go to Anypoint API Manager. And I need to register that API. AP. Add new. It's an API administration. He didn't share it, did you? What a... I saw somewhere when you deploy, you have to be in the exchange or something like that. Yes, what you said is right. We need to publish this. Let me publish this. I forget that step, yeah. Click that. Let me publish this to Exchange so that we can import from the Exchange. So many steps, my friend. It happened recently. I need to check this concept. By the way, what happens to my data? What's the reason? So to change deploy. What is the problem? Client core exception? It's like okay. There is some step we forget. Object store is not supported. 1. I'm going to talk to you from other project. We need to use this line. So there is a concept called object store. Detail is just an object store. It requires some detailed explanation. Objects are two kinds of object stores. If there are object store v1 and object store v2. v1 is an older version and v2 is a new version. Right. That is not the only difference. v2 always run in the Cloud Hub. v2 in the Cloud Hub, v1 is an older version. Whatever object store means, what is basically object store is it stores key value pairs. You can store key value pair and you can use the key value pair anywhere in your application. Key value pair is, right, any name and value. Some that you can store anywhere. what we can do is anywhere you want to store some information, you can configure objects, right? You can suppose want to store some information. You can configure the object store. In the object store, you can do the key value pair. What is key and what is value? Right. I can create. Anywhere, you can afterwards retrieve this information using the key so that you can get the value. So the retrieve is also the object store. You would do all these. There are information in the objects. I think that object store is just some kind of a temporary storage area. Here you can store the information, key value pair information, your new application. There are two types of object store, the persistent object store and transient object store. If your transmit is temporary, persistence means it's stored to the backend. Some object store concept is the persistent object store. Okay, I'll tell you the object store concept. So now, what is error is you're trying to use the V1 in the cloud app. Actually, V1 is not compatible to the cloud app. We need to be supposed to use V2 in the cloud app. But saying that, what we do, say that okay, object store V2 is equal to true. We need to add this line. This line is not given in an actual in the means of documentation. But we need to do this line object store V2 is equal to true so that it's object store V2 and we don't get error. If a management entity, maybe they change some interface, I will check and I will let you go into a management policies. Did you finish successfully? What Adam? What finish? Like the deploying stuff. Is I get the duck. In the application. It is time. Starting the application. I started seeing. Starting the application. Deployed now. In the cloud. From this. Before that, in your comment prompt, try to type in VM. Go to a comment prompt. Who type in VM Adam? Okay, so is it anything or okay? what I said I can, so they can where I go. You go to a comment prompt anywhere. Go to your comment prompt. CMD on any. I can be. Go to CMD. Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't look nice. So for me, I type MV and enter. And I got like scanning for projects. This kind of stuff, right? So for you also, it's coming like this. Are you getting some bad command or unknown command type of message? That is for quick. I wonder. So it doesn't recognize that. Okay, if it doesn't work, what you do is you need to configure MVN in your system. So it is very simple. Go. This is a bus type MVN in the Google, right, and go to Apache MVN. And type the download. Right. So where do you go? And even download. Yeah, go to download. Download me. Download. This one. Unknown. Violently. Finance a part rate. Quite fast for me. To extract that one. They're not allowed to complete it download. It is a download file device. We don't understand. It's safer to put those, those in your C drive or D drive. Somewhere in a safe place. Yeah, I call it Maven. So I put over here in my C drive, I put in here Apache Maven, right? This is my Apache Maven folder. Afterward, what you need to do is you need to go to your properties. And you need to configure something like this one, environment properties. Properties. Advanced system techniques. So can you go one more time? I just install it and patch it. What do you call that? And unzip it, right? Unzip, put somewhere in your C drive or D drive. Okay. Then after that, what do I do? Then go to your PC. Oh, and here. So do I have to get the bin? The path of the bin directory, excellent. Exactly. Okay. Then go to my PC. My PC and right click and select properties. Okay, 1 second. File directory. And under my PC properties. Properties, yes, then what? Then advanced system settings on your left panel. 1 sec. That's not my file. Let's grab this. What is this? Why is it doing that? And advanced system settings. I'm putting my cursor over here, right? Okay, 1 second. So, settings after settings, where do you go? Click that one. After settings, where do you go? Go to environment variables. So, I think I don't know, did I go there? So, under my PC, right click it and click the uClick property. Yeah. Then what? If you put property, you'll get this page right. This window right. Right. Control. If I click on the properties, I got different ones. So we need a control panel, is it? Yeah. I think env, right? We could do env. Environment variables. So put simply an environment. You know, just type over here environment and you get this page. Okay. It's very shortcut. I know. You won't let me somehow. There's a restriction involved here. I'll figure it out, but there's an instruction, a restriction going on in my PC. They don't want to. Yeah, I said even my office. There is a restriction. So I raised a ticket and I talked to the administrator and I got one. I mean on the PC, you can. Yeah. But I thought I could have done it different way. And I don't know, through a Bible command. Is it path? Only path command you need to set. Environment variables, right? Over here, there is a path. There is a path. Somewhere in the path, you know. At that Maven bin. Alright? Apache bin. That's it. Add that path over here. It will work. And you can. Maven is right. Got it? I think I could do that. Maybe a through command prompt. You can talk to administrator. You can add that to the path so that it will work. Oh, oh. Let me see. It started. Right. Started. Started here. Customers. I didn't copy the YAM file. I forgot to copy the YAM file. Okay? Okay, okay, okay. Okay, 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 do I? You don't ever get the train on your own. This might be required. Do not worry, but try to practice this thing. Copy this one and along this one. One more line you need to add is what I think is that line, or I think you enter the configuration. Yeah, I think that line in the chart you add this line also. So what are the steps? Go to your MuleSoft documentation about Mule Maven plugin. First step and capture this code. What are the plugin information given in the MuleSoft documentation? And copy that to your Funcsmo file. The Funcsmo file. Already some Mule Maven plugin is given, but it is not enough. And replace your existing Mule Maven plugin with this code. The very first step. And second step, you need to configure that plugin according to your account. You need to give your username, your password, your rest of these. Only those things are important. Rest of these may be the same for everybody. And this one is not even over there. But you need to add this line. So once this is ready, then you need to configure your HTTP port and host. Make sure HTTP port and host from the like this. So this time it doesn't need a YAML. It grabs from here. Is that true? No, no, no. You can check in UML. I'm sure you can find it. Somebody is checking. Not project right. See, this configuration is there actually. This Mule Maven plugin configuration is there. And username and password. And sometimes you require the organization, client ID and client secret. All the stuff is not given to developers. So what they do is they store all this information in Jenkins file Jenkins server. And they're given some key only. We need to configure that key in our format XML file. So the values are fetched from the Jenkins file. So the Jenkins file is under the supervision of production and deployment team, not our developers team. So that they secure these sensitive properties in that way also. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.